Welcome to 5 Star Weekly. It's a big one as Inter Miami are looking to get revenge against us this weekend. Getting all that and more coming up. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. Welcome to the show, 5 Star fam. I'm AJ, and this is Michael. And Atlanta United unfortunately drew 0-0 to the New York Red Bulls over the weekend. We'll get into that, of course, and plus the preview for the big match on Sunday. But before we do, some shouts out to our loyal Patreon fam: Gavin, Jordan, Niall, Andrew, Chris, Nick, and Jeff. Thank you guys so much as always. But yes, as well, I believe this is, well, no, it's already passed. But yes, the 5 Takes and Atlanta United Fan TV MLS 2025 table prediction contest is underway. And yes, some very fun prizes in the competition will be given out at the end of the season. But yeah, definitely look out for that as you continue to pretty much hang out in our Discord.
And also, just want to say thank you for everyone who signed up for that. We had a record number of people, get on board for it. So, good luck to everybody, and hopefully I don't come in last place.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, I can't remember what place I ended up in last year, but I was pleasantly surprised, especially with just I guess, kind of how blind you go into the season with. It's just you just kind of hit and hope a little bit. But anyway, let's get to the match review, and it's brought to you by Rowdy Peach IPA. And yes, it is the official craft beer of Atlanta United Fan TV. So definitely get it. It's in stores now. Hopefully this will focus at some point. Maybe not. I'll just put it right next to my face. Here we go. Yep. So enjoy, because it's very, very tasty. So get on that. Definitely, if you like tasty beers. But anyway, let's get into the match. And yeah, a little bit of Sweetwater coasters as well. But it was a pretty decent 30 minutes. But as far as full 90s, we just can't put that together, whether it's a little bit of fatigue, a little bit of not being prepared in the preseason, which I contend that is a big factor, or as well, players not being clinical. And yeah, I mean, that very much was the case when we should have put this game away. We very well could have, but the moments were there, the finishing was not. And ultimately, that second half just didn't kind of look as good as how it should be, especially with this high-powered attack. High-powered, quote-unquote, when you spend $50 million and you don't score goals in your last 2 matches, people are going to be a little upset. And fans have been, I guess, voicing their displeasure. But as far as your thoughts on this match, Michael, what were your initial thoughts on it overall?
Yeah, overall, I mean, Red Bull is always a hard game for us. And, we have only recently kind of gotten that monkey off our back in terms of actually being able to beat them in the regular season. But even so, it still eludes us to have a consistent showing against them, day in and day out throughout the season. So, that in mind, it's, it's at home, so that hurts a little bit more that we didn't get 3 points. I'm going to try and remain consistent that we need to win our games at home to have a shot at really, getting high up in the playoff run. Unless we're winning away a lot, which I just, that's a harder discussion to have. So we're not sure that we're going to be able to do that yet, but we just got to win the games at home. So this is not exactly ideal. We did get 1 point out of it against a difficult opponent, a playoff kind of regular team, and a team that made MLS Cup last year. So, all in all, not terrible with our new team that is still kind of getting their legs under them. It's not the worst result ever, of course. Obviously, we've been sold the idea that we're going to be able to beat the pants off some teams, or at least be competitive with the really good ones. And this was semi the case. Unfortunately, though, we are still, on the outside looking in terms of being a team that lights up commentators, when they're talking about Atlanta United, like, wow, this team is the real deal. They're here to compete. Everyone look out for Atlanta United. We're not there yet. We are not in that conversation yet. The foundation was built. People got excited with the expectations, and now we just have to produce. And unfortunately, outside of the 3-goal burst of the first game, we've been shut out for 185 or whatever it is minutes, which is hard to imagine. But I think there's some reasons for it that we can get into, breaking it down more specifically next.
Yeah. And I mean, it's this, we taking a clean sheet, and having not done so in the past 2 matches, it definitely bodes a little bit better. New York Red Bulls are a pretty decent attack. They are a team that's at least playing with the ball are a lot better now than they used to be. And so they're not pressing as high, although there was quite a bit of good energy from them in the earlier part of the match. But yeah, we were able to kind of play around them and actually do pretty decently against their press. But again, ultimately, you got to put the ball in the back of the net. And Ronnie Dyla, he did mention, so quote, "You learn through experiences." And when my screen, there we go. It's about how we can lift everybody, ourselves in the group and the club, to the standards that we need to do to be consistent in what we do. That's the aim for me and everybody, because the players have good effort. It's about making the right decisions together as a team in the different periods in the game, or different periods in the game. But as far as the team getting a clean sheet, it had something to do, I think, with Pedro Amador as well being in there. He made some crucial stops. So did Stian Gregerson on the sidelines as well, in a sense, making a really great tackle. And Derek Williams making a very, very strong last-ditch tackle in the box to keep that clean sheet. So the players understood the assignment there. But yeah, as far as the attack, it's just there were some moments. It's like I count probably a couple headers that should have been put on frame, but unfortunately, one of them, Derek Williams, he headed it down. Unfortunately, it bounced over the goal, and I believe it was Edwards at the back post as well. Wasn't able to put it on goal. So it's not players that you would expect them to score, but definitely chances that should at least be put on goal. And so the service is there, I would say. It's just a matter of these players aren't doing what they can, maybe. That's the expectation bit is just tough. It's like you would at least hope that they can put it on goal. But I believe Edwards forced a save, but I think it was a really soft header, and I think it would have been probably better if he tried to head it back into the mixer, more, because I think it was more, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm just remembering a different goal, but it was more towards the front, and then if he headed it more further back into the mixer, where we had a couple more clinical goal scorers that maybe could have gotten a head to it or a body part, that would have been a more effective use of that ball. But he took it, and it just kind of lackadaisically went right into the hands of Coronel. Yeah. And Coronel had a really great match as well. I mean, we had 11 shots, which is not, fantastic, but they only had 5. And then, the shots on goal were 7 for us, 0 for them. 1.8 XG, or expected goals, and 0.8 for the New York Red Bulls. So, yeah, we very much should have at least gotten a goal here, and we didn't. But, the chance creation was there early on. It just wasn't quite there. In the second half. And we saw some some players come in, Mosquera, Shande Silva as well. I think just not really kind of match fit, so they weren't really able to maybe impact as much as they really could have. Mosquera obviously got that winner versus CF Montreal, but ultimately still hasn't played a ton of minutes. But Tristan Muyamba, I think one of the bright spots in this match was able to, I think, do a lot of the things that we needed him to, maybe in previous matches where we hoped that he would have this much energy, this much guile, wanting to play the ball forward. There were some loose balls, but I think for not having really played very many minutes, I think he did really, really well.
Yeah, because he was trying to make things happen. He took some chances and he did some things that resulted in a couple of oh my goodness moments on our part, but also he did some things that resulted in some we could do something with out of this opportunity. So right. I'm not going to fault him for doing that. It may be a different story if Red Bull actually scored off of one of those, but luckily they didn't. So I'm still the idea, and it seems to be attack, and Tristan definitely got that memo.
Yeah. And so, ultimately, I said it was a fairly entertaining match for a 0-0. Obviously, you want to see goals, but, I think inside the stadium, there were just a lot of those almost moments. And, while they're not prime entertainment, there's at least a lot of people in the stadium just holding their heads and going, oh, like constantly. And so, at the very least from that standpoint, we had that. But is it good enough? No, certainly not. And, I think, ultimately we need to do better. The team knows that they need to do better. And it's just about putting it all together for a 90-minute span. So, we'll wrap this up since, it's a pretty, drab one to a degree without goals. So, Cayman Togashi, he also made his first appearance for LA United when he replaced Saba in the 76th minute as well. So, congrats to the Japanese American. But, so LA United will be playing Inter Miami this weekend, and we will have that preview for you later on in this episode. So, into the news now, and not a ton of news, but we'll get into it. Emmanuel Latelat, he entered concussion protocol after the match and being evaluated on a day-to-day basis. And essentially, it looks like it's going to be a 5-day type of day-to-day. And so, really, by the time the match comes around, he should be all right. But apparently, it took a hard collision while defending a set piece during the New York Red Bull match, and he was subbed off in the 68th minute. So,
What people thought was Brad Guzan baptizing him, but was actually just, Red Bull's Nealis playing extremely physical like he always does.
Yep, indeed. So, hopefully, everything is all good there. But we'll find out with the availability report soon, I'm sure. So, there's a rumor about Saba with not the most reliable source, but that he is drawing interest, apparently. We're not going to name it because it just doesn't really seem that reliable, but I think the curiosity is, because there are a lot of people all over the web right now talking about Saba Lapjanice and whether he's been performing up to the standard that some fans want him to, but also the type of player that he is he a fit for Atlanta United is also one of those questions. But let's get your opinion.
There are people talking about him on the internet. I've heard people say things like, it's like, what is he good at? What is he giving us in terms of production? I mean, if you look at his numbers and you compare him to other wingers in MLS, I don't think he's that bad. I think he's actually pretty good. He's incredibly inconsistent. We know that about him. But when he hits, he hits. And when he doesn't, at least I think he stirs up enough trouble that, it's not like he's just a non-factor on the pitch when he's out there. his speed alone is enough to give, most defenses a lot to think about. So regardless of his inconsistent production in terms of goals or assists, I still think he's a attribute that we need on the team for his, again, not being a DP. You can't, I don't think you can do much better in MLS. In terms of on average, I think he's a very good winger. So I don't see why we would move on from him. He seems to be one of the few players, maybe not one of the few anymore, but it seems to be he is definitely someone I can say for a certainty is, in love with this club and wants to play here and do well for us. He bleeds Atlanta United right now, and that hasn't been the case with everyone in the past. So I really hope that, we would keep him based on that alone, and his speed, I think, is extremely important. So, and if we start clicking on offense too, he's going to score goals as well with assists. So I don't have any worries about that. He's just inconsistent.
Right. Yeah, and last season in 35 matches, he got 10 goals, 3 assists. Yeah, he was our leading goal scorer last year. And so as far as that, it's like, 10 goals from a winger in MLS is pretty good. It's just a matter of, okay, ultimately, he's not a DP. So, getting 10 goals from a non-DP is, really great. One of the things is, you probably want to see a little bit more assists from a winger. He seems a little bit more I think last season we had some difficulty scoring goals as well. And so, he may have had the service, but it is what it is. But, as far as, a player that presses from the front, he presses really well, I would say. And the ability to cause trouble for the opposition, I mean, that's baseline. That's what he does for sure. Like, a lot of oppositions, when they're facing Saba, they're having to backtrack. And you can ask Inter Miami how they feel about Saba as well. So, that's maybe he shows up for the big games. There maybe is a bit of that. But I don't really think he down tools either. I mean, it's just that there's a lot of unluckiness, which may come down to just how clinical he is, which, I think if you look at him and also Miguel Almiron isn't necessarily clinical either. He took the most shots in 2018 out of our team, and, I think got double digits, but it just wasn't like, if you take that many shots, you should probably score a little bit more. And so, I think at the grand scheme of things, there is a little bit of a bias probably here at play, but I think, Saba, you could do a lot worse. I think right now it's just the team has not figured out how to play with each other and gel, which, in the post-match live reactions, we talked about how there were certain types of balls, some plays that, some passes that basically should have been played differently that definitely were not. And that's the frustrating bit, is that, eventually, hopefully they figure that out, that, for instance, like a Moranchuk, he should be passing it into Miguel Almiron's left foot, where he can easily take a shot, versus trying to put it on his right foot on the run near the back post. It's just like, it's just not his strength. Like, you gotta play it to where these players want the ball, and that probably should have been a through ball in behind on the left wing, so that Miguel Almiron can come in onto his left foot, slot it down into the right bottom corner or something like that. That's probably a little easier for him. But hopefully, they get this, like, if it's the coaches, if it's the players themselves, hopefully the scouting report for each other, they can figure that out and talk to each other. But, it is what it is. But, let's move on. Club World Cup, the trophy will be on display at the Benz during the Inter Miami match, and it will be up there until halftime. So yeah, you can take photos with it. Obviously, yeah, Mercedes-Benz Stadium will be hosting some matches for the Club World Cup. So that will be something that's will be fun for the people that may like that type of thing. If your team is in the Club World Cup, which we are not, but Inter Miami somehow is. Huh? Anyway, so next bit of news: Dax McCarty. He's signed with the Des Moines Menace. He's still, obviously, of course, an MLS commentator or analyst, but he has signed on to kind of play some of those matches where, I don't know, how would you describe it, Mike? I mean, it's like it's
amateur. I mean, it's it's not going to be them playing hard. Yeah, they're just going to have fun, and if they win, they win. I don't think they expect to necessarily win, and I don't think that they would really want to, knock a team out of the tournament that truly wants to be there and is trying really hard versus these guys are just there for fun. Like, that would be kind of crabby, but like, I think that they're just there to have fun. So
yeah, indeed. Well, yep. So that's gonna be fun for McCarty there, but that does it for the news, and it gets us to the mailbag. And you guys send in these questions through IG Story and Discord. And please continue to do so. We might answer your question in the future. But first question comes from, let's see, greatest Josh Cohen fan. He asks, do we play Shande at right back?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever really played there. I mean, he can play across the midfield three, but as far as left wing or left mid, right mid, central attacking mid, but as far as asking him to defend, I don't think we should do that at all. Maybe in a pinch where, say, we're going really all out attack and we just need to get as many attackers on the pitch. Okay, maybe, but I think you might be putting somebody else there to do that. And I think that's really where also, Brooks Lennon, who's probably going to be available, that's kind of his role. That's pretty much like, that's what he does. But next question comes from Don't Lose When You Can Win, BG, like Kenwin Jones. What's going to take to make the front four play to their potential? Why can't the team play two halves at the same tempo?
So this is an interesting question. It's on everyone's mind. I was also watching the Champions League Cup this week, and I watched Cincinnati, even though they completely kind of collapsed against Tigres. They for the first at least half, they seemed pretty gelled and competent for having like kind of a whole new host of attacking players. And I was like, wow, that's really impressive. They're playing this Tigres team in Mexico really well, really tough, with new players in the attack and in some other places as well, but mostly in the attack with Evander and Denke. And so they were syncing up. They were doing well. They knew, what each other was going to do, and they were able to link up for goals, or at least one. So I was like, why can't we just have instant success kind of like that? But it just doesn't seem to be the case for us right now. It's going to take a little bit more bedding in period. I do think it's just going to take time. And that's maybe these types of players are more kind of rigid in that they are more like, no, you adapt to me instead of me adapt to you. That could be the case. I think Saba's showing a little bit of that. And I think he needs to go like, okay, I need to maybe change my game a little bit. I think you started to see a little bit of that with more kind of like flicking on an interplay on the left side near the box with like Miguel and Marinchuk towards the later end of the Red Bulls game. So I think maybe that's starting to come a little bit together instead of him thinking I got to be the man and cut in on my right or something like that. And I don't know why he is not on the same page yet with that when we have so many guys already cluttering the middle of the park. So I hope that they can kind of get on the same page sooner rather than later. And that, like I said, it'll just take time. I also think setting them up for success from the defense in the midfield. AJ, you pointed this out earlier in the or on the weekend in the post-match video about how if you don't have your defense in your midfield giving, you know, good opportunities and good balls and good, you know, a good layout of a play for the offense, you know, they can be a great offensive complement, but they're just not going to be able to do much with really half chances like you saw with Miguel Almiron. So if we can get a little bit more cohesive with giving, you know, better opportunities to our offense, I think that they will be able to make more of a meal out of the opportunities that they do get. So hopefully we'll be able to see both of those things. So it's not just the offense that I think that needs to gel. I think it also has to be the build-up play. We've been doing pretty good with battling for like 50-50 balls in the midfield and on defense, but it's just kind of getting the ball up to the offense in a situation where we can really hurt them. Hasn't really, like, we haven't had any breakaways really. We haven't really had like one-on-ones where it's just been like, okay, he's in on goal and this is pretty much, you know, gonna happen. But so I think there has to be more of that, and that again will just take time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything that you're saying. The build-up is super necessary in order to connect the lines, to make sure that the attackers are in good zones so that they have the best opportunity to be able to score, instead of maybe too far from goal or too wide of goal, and you know the angle's gone. The chance is a lot harder, of course, you know, when you're a little bit wider of goal. So yeah, you definitely want to, I think, not as well crowd the same areas like you were mentioning, which is a lot of what's going on right now. There's not enough width, and partially it's part of it being that, you know, Brooks Lennon isn't there on the right. I think Matthew Edwards did a pretty decent job on Saturday, but it's, you know, still he's learning on the job, so he's not always putting in kind of the balls where he wants to, needs to. But he did put, I think, at least one really decent ball in during the match. So, you know, that's a step forward for sure.
Yeah.
But it is that. It's, if we're relying on the team to essentially maybe press from the front to create the chances, well then, you know, yeah, you can only create so many good chances from that, and not really, you know, kind of get the clear-cut chances that I think we're trying to really have. But as far as the two halves at the same tempo, go ahead.
One other thing, I mean, this is something our buddies at Scars and Spikes were noting as well, is that the team has been billed as a super fast, you know, break speed type of team, and haven't really seen that used to our advantage yet, like that much. This team's got to be fast, and we're just almost seeming like we're playing hold up play, like, or like slow build out from the back. Like, that's not what we were told was going to happen. We need to see a lot more utilization of our speed against this team, and that's going to take, again, time to figure out the timing of passes and through balls so our runners can get on it and, you know, beat the defenders. But, you know, it's going to take time.
And as well, it's you know, the defense that you face is important, and you know, the games that we've played in the past two have been a little bit more deep lying, and when that's the case, it's gonna be a little bit harder. You're gonna have to figure out how to break down a low block. Also, you know, the space in behind, not aplenty. So, you know, are the players on the pitch able to break that down, able to play the combinations quickly enough to be able to unsettle that defense? So far, not so much, and so that's kind of been the problem as well. That's why you need, you know, your build-up to be on point, and without Click starting the matches, that, you know, is gonna affect things. But you know, when Click was in for the CF Montreal match, it was definitely a lot more fluid, and he was available in space a lot. But it is also the flip side of it. Do you lose a little bit defensively? And yeah, so far it looks like a little bit. So, but anyway, next question comes from T. We own Miami. Yay or nay? I mean,
it's just what you were just saying. Teams that sit low we've had a hard time kind of breaking down. Miami, although they have bolstered their defense this season, still are going to come at us. So you have the opportunity there. We'll see what we do with a team that tries to impose themselves on us. Miami's been kind of doing that to a lot of teams, even without Messi. So it'll be really interesting to see how we respond. We've been able to respond in very positive ways last season. This is a significantly different team now, for us and a little for them. So it's anyone's guess if things ring true as they did for last season.
Right. I mean, so far we own Miami. We'll get into the stats, obviously later in this episode. But I mean, yeah, we sans maybe the year or 2 years before where Santiago Sosa was a little too enamored with Lionel Messi. It's been pretty much a lot of Atlanta United,
and us letting Joe score a brace on us, which was that was an incredibly frustrating game.
PTSD from that for sure. But largely we do, and hopefully it continues. But last question comes from David Adkins. He asks, what happened to our atmosphere?
What happened to our? I mean, yeah, we've kind of dug into this before in the past. I mean, this answer.
Or this question.
The question, yeah. I mean, the answer to this question has kind of been played out over like 10 videos we've made over the course of 6 months. It feels like seeing the depth of the environment inside the stadium because of the front office's decisions or inactions, and them having to basically revive it from being on the on the operating table, right? And so what we're seeing now is a bit of a resurgence, a bit of a revival of the environment in the stadium. And I think it's a lot of that is owed to Miguel Almiron coming back and the promising of a high-flying attack again. And you're seeing a lot of that atmosphere come back to the stadium when we are attacking, and it seems to be condensed, unfortunately, to the first halves of these games. Hopefully we can, like you said, consistently do it for 90. But we've come a long way since the kind of the dark times. And hopefully we're slowly getting out of that, and with that we'll see a return of the exciting atmosphere, which has already started to creep back. I mean, the last 2 games that AJ has personally been to, he talks about it feeling like 2018 again. So when the results start coming as well, it's gonna be a huge, amazing party again.
Yeah. And I think there's a little bit of that where, the old guard a little bit. I mean, you think about it, 8 or 9 years. The young kids that were in the crowd then have started to, it's almost a decade. They're starting to get older. And so, maybe they're starting to have kids. Maybe they're, in a place in their life where they can't go to as many games. Like, it's not always going to be the same almost a decade later.
I feel I'm in that camp. I'm not able to go to most games because of my family setup right now. So it happened to me. I know we know a lot of capos, a lot of other people who had to step down, and I don't know how their succession planning, has went in their meetings, but they have gotten people to come in and take the place and to do things and to keep things alive, and they've done a good job. But yeah, it's just, it's a bit of a change of guard, like you said, and they are also in a way going to take a little bit of a bedding in process, to find their footing and their voice and their style as well, which I think has the potential to be just as good. And hopefully we can kind of, with a new exciting team with actual results that come from it, you're going to see a lot new people brought in who may want to pick up that mantle, that standard, and want to join in and participate, and then you kind of refill those ranks, and to the point where people are knocking on the door and we have to return them away because we're all full.
Yeah, and it's not only on the capos, it's also not only on the supporter.
To generalize, not just them, for sure.
For sure. And not only on the supporter section, but also on the entire stadium. I mean, it's on everybody to learn the chants to, if you're complaining about the atmosphere, well then, do something about it. And, get the people in your section to also get in on it, encourage them. I think that's how we actually build it back up. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen with one fan at a time, essentially. And, it takes doing that with the casual fans as well that, when they finally kind of, go to their first game, well, they're going to get hooked if it's something that is just incredibly unique and where, it's something that what do you call it? But basically the value, the value is just going to be like, oh man, like I can't replace this. This is something that is just that unique, and so But anyway, so
and then for the 1000th time, if you sit in the supporter section, you're probably going to get beer thrown at you when Atlanta United scores. Just saying, it seems like hey, we have to keep saying this because I keep seeing people complain about like, I didn't know that was going to happen, like pretty much every game. So that's going to happen every time.
Yeah, the tickets are cheap. There are flags. They're gonna block your view, and if you, I think the diehards know that. Casual fans, they'll probably find some way to complain.
So there's probably going to be a lot of casual fans showing up. So just so you know, in case you're watching.
And speaking of, that is the mailbag. We get into our match preview, 7 p.m. Sunday. It will be at the Benz. Inter Miami CF, Atlanta United will be playing. And the last match for Inter Miami CF, they played to a 1-0 win against Charlotte. And for us against Inter Miami, we of course beat them 3-2 at the Benz, where we both were there, obviously. And maybe not obviously, but if you saw our vlog, that thing
We're gonna miss that one. Nope.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the card if I remember to. But basically, yes, that was an emotional night, man. It was just a lot of fun, and one of those I think almost like most memorable nights at the Benz, probably in recent memory for sure, but maybe top 5 because it was a lot of fun. But anyway, our last 6 against them, we've won 4, drawn 1, and only lost 1. So as far as owning them, I mean, we're doing well. I don't know if we own them. Owning would be like, okay, we haven't lost against them, but
like an Orlando kind of situation from back in the day.
That was prime ownage. We were their daddy, and but anyway, we're like a stepdaddy right now to Inter Miami. Like it's like we can. I was gonna get really inappropriate here, so never mind. But we will continue. So basically, as far as the one loss, that was in the playoffs. It might be a different story as well, because yes, Inter Miami, they may or may not have Lionel Messi. Obviously there is Luis Suarez, Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, but as far as Messi, he will be playing Thursday, so with Argentina, and so with that, will he be spared a little bit? Who knows? I'm not sure, but I think there will be a lot of upset casual fans probably, but at that point, who cares? But and as far as the key departures for them from last year, Leonardo Campana, the shithouser, who of course shoved Braguzan initially into the back of the net, but Facundo Farias, Nicolas Frere, Diego Gomez, Sergi Christoph, Matias Rojas have all left. And their key signings from this offseason are Tadeo Allende, who has actually been doing quite well for them, in the early start of the season. Maxi Falcon, Gonzalo Lujan, Fafa Pical, and Talasco Segovia. And of course, Javier Mascherano is now their head coach, and not Tata Martino. So, it's definitely interesting. I mean, they're a team that is high-powered in the front. They're a little bit better in the back now, but as far as, where most people have them, as pundits, they have them pretty much finishing as low as third and, likely finishing first. So a lot of pundits are high on them, even though, Mascherano is a kind of first-time head coach, but of course he comes from the Barcelona pedigree, having played with all of them as well, and previously been a youth Argentina head coach. So he's got a lot to prove, but he's definitely got all the talent in the world to be able to kind of withstand any of those type of things. And as well, Rocco Rios Novo, the mustachioed boy wonder, no longer a boy, but also is part of their ranks as well. So Inter Miami, they're very, very good at finishing their scoring chances, very strong at counterattacks. They are also a team that is very, very good at creating chances through their skill, and also stealing the ball as well. So, they're a team that can play through the middle. They can play down the left as well with Allende. Kind of that tiki-taka that, of course, those players are known for. And I think with anytime you have Luis Suarez, you have Lionel Messi, if he plays, it's just gonna be a tall order. So even though we've done well, it still is the very fact that we haven't scored in 5 of our last 7 MLS matches. So, that's a pretty bad stat. But, and also, Inter Miami, they are undefeated in 16 of their last 17 matches in MLS. So, very fun stats to hear. Michael is, pursing his lips because, that's damning. That's damning, factual information there. But, the odds, somehow, in spite of all that, according to Bet365, have us at 42% to win the game, 37% for a draw, and an away win for Inter Miami at 27.8%. So, it's that. Does Messi play? Mascherano, he might not play him, but the point is this team is still dangerous. They're gonna rotate, and they're still gonna have a lot of weapons. So that's gonna be the case. But Latte, of course, under concussion protocol, like I mentioned, 5 days, so he probably should be ready, but it still is. He's questionable. Not sure. We'll find out. Hernandez as well might not be available. Tiare also might not be available week to week. So we'll find out if both of them are available pretty soon, I am sure. But let's get into our predicted starting 11. Guzan between the sticks. Do you start our first choice fullbacks?
Yeah, if Brooks is available and Pedro is available, that's a recipe for success for me, especially against Miami. So, I think Brooks is dying to get back out there, especially up against the team that sidelined him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a little shoulder check into the byline there, pretty much put him out, and he may be looking for revenge, hopefully in the form of a goal. So, I definitely agree. He may not last the full 90, but I think at the very least, give him the start, I think that should be quite fine. Into the midfields, or not into the midfield, rather into the center backs. I think that picks itself. Gregerson, Williams. Anything different for you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I sense a little bit of reticence.
No, it's all right. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Against Miami, yeah. I mean, yeah. No, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Standing into Williams.
Okay. All right. And okay, into the midfields, Schleich. I think that's the given. And then, I mean, do you start Muyamba, who's played decently against Inter Miami at times? And, of course, last match, do you start Click? Do you start Fortune? Pretty much, there's been a pretty much rolling, revolving door at central midfield. Who would you start?
I mean, if you can, I think if you have Click, you play Click. I mean, it's basically a fourth DP, so absolutely. Like you said, we need someone to connect the sinew of the team through the midfield, and he's someone who can do that. We've been missing that, so I think that, I don't think we beat Miami by trying to stop them from scoring necessarily. I think we have to score more than them, so we're going to need all of our pieces that can construct a goal on the field.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that. You're at home, you want to probably play, with the ball as much as you can, but also, those players that can also play an early ball. I think you play with some of the offense, and have as many of the guys, kind of, who should stay back, protect that defense, and I think Lennon stays probably home a little bit more than I think normally we would have him. I think, in order for us to kind of really protect.
I bet that doesn't happen.
Probably not.
That doesn't happen.
Probably not. But I think we really need him to, because it's one of those things where he probably needs to preserve a little bit of energy. He doesn't have the full 90 in his legs yet, so kind of pick and choose, and let Amador, who's a little bit more match fit, maybe run up and down a little bit more than he should. So
we're asking him to handle like Jordi Alba now, right?
To a degree. I mean, it's more Allende. So
those two are.
Yeah.
They are being very good this season. So
they are. And so
big task.
Miguel Miron will probably have to track back a little bit more as well. In which case, yes, Miguel Miron on the right, Saba on the left, Ranchuk in the middle. Anything different for you?
No.
Yep.
A lot of people want to switch, change that up a little bit. Moranchuk maybe being on the wing, and maybe Miggy being in the center. But yeah, I think that's what it's going to be with Ronnie.
Yeah, I just don't think Moranchuk as a winger makes sense, because he's not exactly pacey. It's just like, okay, he can play there in a pinch, but are you really thinking that he should be playing there? I mean, Miggy, I think it makes sense that, okay, he can play in both areas, and he's been pretty press resistant in the middle as well, and that is very key to be able to play through those lines, and also dribble at your opposing defense. So but either way, that's the question up top. Are you playing latte lat, or are you rolling the die on a player that
it's Inter Miami? I mean, if he's fit, and I mean, like, it's going to be interesting to see what Inter Miami does against Cavalier tonight at 8:00, because if they play Messi with that, I kind of would be surprised if they did, but if they do, then there's a likelihood that he won't play against us, but I would suspect that they would want to save him for us, because I think they could probably not worry about Cavalier, but that's just my guess. I think Latilat would want to play against Messi if he shows up. I mean, at the very least, he's going to want to play against like Suarez and Jordi Alba and Busquets. These are big name players that people want to put on their resume. So he's going to want to play, and if he can, he will play.
Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately not up to him as far as concussion protocol, but it is seemingly looking like he should be fine. It's just a matter of, okay, once he takes the tests, and will it prove that he can be available? So we'll find out. I have Latilat up top. It's no brainer if he can start. And if he can't, well, then it's like Jamal Tiare, goal scorer against Inter Miami, if he's available as well.
Yeah,
that's
wasn't
not
he?
bad.
Wasn't he injured too?
Exactly.
I don't know if is he still injured? I forget what you said. Yeah, you said he was, right?
Right, and so they're not considered serious, and so yeah, both of them are week to week. So we'll find out. But either way, we need all the firepower that we can. But that's the predicted starting 11. As far as what you want to see from this team in order to win this match, what do you want from Atlanta United?
I think we need to see the speed and the willingness to push the envelope against Inter Miami, because I think that they're going to leave open space, because when they attack, they leave a lot of room. So I think that we can take advantage of that, and our team is hopefully, and I would have thought, specifically designed to do exactly that on the attack. So hopefully we get to see that. It's been more difficult to do that against more disciplined and compact lower blocks, because there is no space there. That's by design. But with Miami, I think that they'll try and take the fight to us regardless of being away, and we can definitely exploit that. And I hope that our shooting boots are on and we can find the back of the net, because we're gonna have to, because Miami, you just can't stop them from scoring. They're gonna score at least one. So we're going to have to at least put 2 by them to take a win out of this, and it would be real nice to give Miami their first loss in the MLS regular season.
Yeah, and us be the team that does it. I mean, it is that we have had our shooting boots against Inter Miami in the past. Saba has scored, Ranchuk has scored, Tiare has scored, and so, definitely as well. I think Lennon has scored too. There's a bunch of players that have the pedigree of scoring against them, so they are not scared. And then plus you have Almiron and Latelat, who no doubt, I mean, if they can put their names in the headlines, they're going to, and they're going to want to against possibly Messi and co, but maybe Suarez and co. So at the very least, I think the players will be playing up to the competition here, and that tends to happen against Inter Miami. But yeah, let's get into the score prediction then. Michael, what do you have?
I'm hoping for a 2-1 Atlanta United win.
Okay, I mean that's a hope. What do you think as well with your brain?
It's predicated on assumptions. So like, if the attack doesn't show up again, which is a possibility, Miami is going to score at least 1. And if our attack doesn't show up, they'll send blood in the water, and we'll throw everything forward to try and get the result. Then they'll score 2. So if we don't show up, it'll be 2-0, pretty easy Inter Miami win. Frustrating for us. And but if we do show up, we score 1, especially early. Game state dictates that Miami is going to be even more exposed. They're just going to wonder goal something in at one point, and then we'll have to respond with like a last minute merchant type of goal. And I think we'll be able to pull that off, because like I said, Miami is going to afford us a lot of space. So dependent on those 2 variables, those are the 2 ways I see it going. And I guess on the balance of probability, which one is more likely? I want to say the latter. I want to say our attack finds something. I would just be surprised that unless Latte Lath is not starting, Brooks maybe is not starting, I think that maybe unless they don't start, I think our attack should be able to find a way to at least 1 goal.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's a 2-2 draw. Heart and mind, I think it's one of those things where I think we will step up and get goals. I think it's just a matter of, Inter Miami is just also going to get goals as well. There are some shakiness between our lines still. We have to kind of figure that out, especially against a very good attack. That's not going to be done immediately. And so, Lennon coming in, even if it's Edwards, I mean, it's just, you have a bunch of kind of uncertainty. And, ultimately, if Click is in there as well, you're going to, kind of I think, prioritize the attack versus the defense a little bit here. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, if Click does start, or if it's maybe someone that's a little bit more defensive, but then at that point, you know, we'll have to figure out how to, you know, connect those lines. And, you know, if it's Schleich and also Fortune, well, yeah, might be a little bit difficult. Muyamba might be the solution. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, so that does it for the match preview and pretty much the entire episode, except for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, which player needs to step up for us to get going again? One specific player, even though it's a team effort. But I'm curious if you guys think if there's one player that can probably unlock it all for us by stepping up big time. Let us know in the comments below. Looking forward to what you have to say. But guys, that is it for us today. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That's been Michael. I've been AJ. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.